Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Danielle Smith. In this week's news, 5 new buses approved for district, Planning Commission gives nod to adult use pot rules, and Give Blood, Help Save Lives.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. After a public hearing Tuesday evening, the Village Planning Commission voted unanimously 6-0 to approve the proposed adult use marijuana facilities draft ordinance. The first and only public hearing to discuss the draft ordinance was short, wrapping up in just under a half an hour. Several members of the public spoke in support of marijuana, but did not address specific zoning or business requirements stated in the ordinance. For example, the ordinance permits only 6 types of marijuana business facilities: marijuana grower, marijuana micro business, marijuana processor, marijuana retailer, marijuana safety compliance facility, and marijuana secure transporter. All other marijuana facilities not defined are prohibited. Applicants must be pre-approved by the Marijuana Regulatory Agency of the state of Michigan. Also, a marijuana facility would have to go through special use approval, which means they would have to apply to the village in meeting a certain deadline.
For the next 2 weeks, the Oxford Leader is taking a look back at 2019 and rehashing some of the year's biggest stories. This week's issue covers the first 6 months of the 2019 year. Stories include the OHS boys basketball record-breaking season, the closing of Dunlap Collision, OHS graduation, how the community came together to save a local horse, and much more. The special Year in Review edition is limited. Get your copy, pick up one at a local retailer or the Oxford Leader for $1.
Oxford resident Emma Demolanta was named to Bob Jones University Singers. The University Singers is the university's largest choral group. Demolanta is a freshman majoring in actuarial science. The university is located in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oxford Township Parks and Recreation is hosting the American Red Cross for a blood drive on January 9th from 1 to 7 p.m. To schedule your spot, call Dawn Medici at 248-628-1720 or visit the Red Cross website, redcrossblood.org, and use sponsor code OxfordRec.
Riding the bus to and from Oxford schools just got a little safer. At the December 10th Board of Education meeting at Oxford High School, board members voted unanimously to approve the purchase of 5 new buses for the school district. The purchase, totaling over $400,000 purchased through Midwest Transit, will come from the district's 2019-2020 general fund. Ann Whedon, Director of the Transportation of Oxford Community Schools, plans on purchasing 3 65-passenger buses and 2 71-passenger buses, all of which will run on gasoline. The new buses will replace some of the older ones from 2002 to 2003 model years.
Santa Claus doesn't always wear red and drive a sleigh adorned with bells. Sometimes he wears brown and drives a patrol car with lights and sirens. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office spread some extra Christmas cheer to an Oxford Township family and a military veteran with a 100% disability rating. Daniel, a native of Northern Illinois, proudly served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 2002 to 2017. When he and his wife pulled into the parking lot of the sheriff's substation with an empty SUV, they drove away with the vehicle filled with a mix of Christmas gifts, toys, clothing, household items, essentials, and gift cards for the entire family. All of the money and items for the special holiday delivery were graciously donated by Oakland County Sheriff's Department employees.
Local sheriff's deputies and command staff partnered with employees of the Oxford Township Parks and Recreation Department and Oxford Township Office to deliver 34 beautiful fruit baskets prepared by Papa Joe's in Rochester Hills to senior shut-ins living in Oxford Leonard and Lake Orion. According to the Parks and Rec Director, Ron Davis, a gentleman who wishes to remain anonymous made a $500 donation to help pay for the baskets. Davis said the Parks and Recreation Department was more than happy to help play Santa to local shut-ins because seniors are one of our most important resources.
The holidays are coming to a close. Santa has come and gone. Now it's time to get rid of that Christmas tree. If you have a live or real tree, you could just set it at the curb and wait for your friendly trash hauler to take it away. But do you really want to have it end up in a landfill? Instead of adding to the nation's landfill woes, take your live tree to Seymour Lake Township Park. Leave it in the southeast corner of the parking lot, adjacent to the tennis courts and across from the Kids Kingdom playground. There's a red and white sign marking the drop-off site. They are being collected now through the end of February. Parks and Recreation staff will be picking up the trees on a regular basis and turning them into mulch. This mulch will then be used whenever and wherever needed at the township parks. Every tree that gets chipped means more free mulch to enhance our public parks.
You don't have to own a pair of barn boots to appreciate this area's rich rural history and heritage. Folks wishing to learn more about the Oxford-Metamora area's deep agricultural roots and proud equestrian traditions are invited to attend the January 10th celebration to kick off a new special exhibit at the Oxford Public Library. The special exhibit will be enhanced by music, crafts, scavenger hunts, reading programs, and a square dance. So brush up on your do-si-do and get ready to swing your partner round and round. The whole shebang will kick off on Friday, January 10th with a special celebration from 6 to 8 p.m. There will be finger foods, live music, and a few opening remarks. The public is invited, but folks are asked to please RSVP by calling 248-628-3034, extension 233. Or you can register with miopl.org. All ages are welcome, so be there. Have fun.
Local authors Megan Howe, Megan James, and Mary Lou Howe wrote a children's book entitled Good Night, Little You. You may have already figured it out. The authors are all related. Megan James is Mary Lou's daughter. Megan Howe is her daughter-in-law. The paperback book was published through Amazon's self-publishing company, Kindle Direct Publishing, on October 17, 2019. For now, the book can only be purchased directly through Amazon, but the authors hope to get it in local shops and in schools soon. What a great project that the family could work on together.
I think it's fantastic that you could do that. Not only that, I mean, it takes a lot of skill and knowledge in order to write a book to begin with.
And especially having the option of not going through a traditional publisher where Amazon can do it for you now.
Absolutely. Now, I've not tried that yet, but I've tried to convince my wife that she should write a book. She's had so many experiences throughout life.
Speaking of experiences, we are about to enter a new decade.
We are. What would that be? Oh, darn, 2020. How did we get here so quick?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. A whole decade has come and gone.
So how are you going to celebrate the new year?
I am celebrating, let's see, probably with family, working a bit, because you know, the news never stops. What about you?
I don't plan on working at all, so I'm the opposite of where you are. We're actually going to visit relatives up north in Bay County area.
Very nice.
So we'll be up there more likely for that weekend, or that week.
Yeah, the weather has been great too, so it kind of encourages you to extend the holiday season for as long as possible.
And I was so much wanting to get into snowballs and building snowmen, and you know, it's not going to happen this year.
No, we'll get that snow in April.
I'm pretty sure we probably will, yes.
And that's it for Oxford News this week. If you would like to learn more about these stories and others, you can pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader, or better yet, you can catch us on our website, occtv.org, or our YouTube channel, or our regular cable channels, Spectrum Channel 191, or AT&T Channel 99.
And coming up soon, OCTV's very own Cody Wright with school sports and school news, incorporating great topics with none other than Ripper Tuck. He's our newest broadcaster, doing a great job. And you won't want to miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Danielle Smith. Thanks for watching Oxford News This Week.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Hello, Oxford. My name is River Tuck, and welcome back to School News on OCTV. We are a little light on school news this week as we are still on winter break here in our Oxford schools. Let's jump right into our school news and get that out of the way, and then we can talk about how to make the most out of your break right here in Oxford. As far as our school schedules go, they are all clear here in Oxford. The buildings remain closed and staff are out until classes resume on the 6th. After that, we can expect Oxford schools to jump right back into things, picking up the busy schedule to start off 2020. It's crazy to hear, isn't it? In January, there are a few events you should clear some space for on your calendar. From the 16th to 17th of January, the Oxford Middle School Theater Company will perform their play Showdown at Palm Tree Pines. That play will be put on at the Oxford High School Performing Arts Center, and trust me, you do not want to miss it. Our theater programs are extremely talented. Later in January, look forward to the Oxford High School Mr. Oxford competition, which will culminate in a performance on the big stage at the PAC on the 28th of January. I am so looking forward to that event. I myself participated in my schools, which was Mr. Avondale, and it is an outstanding event and almost always a great time for all of the audience. Really looking forward to that. It is an outstanding show and involves tons of spirit, which we have plenty of here in our Oxford schools. That is all for the school calendar, but that does not mean we are not done yet, folks. There is still plenty to do here in Oxford for our students on break, as well as events for the whole family. Let's get into our school segment of today's, let's get into our second segment of today's school news, how you and the family can have fun in Oxford this winter break. Last week, we covered my top 5 things to do here in Oxford this winter break. This week, let's narrow it down and cover the top 3 places to visit this break. Number 1 made it onto last week's list and will, once again, it is the Oxford Public Library and, in turn, any of the libraries around our Oxford area. While all of the schools are out, there's no better time to visit the Oxford Public Library, especially for any of their great upcoming events. On January 10th, attend a 6 p.m. celebration at the library to kick off a new exhibit called A Celebration of Abundance, Michigan Farming. That exhibit will run through February 21st at the library. Number 2 is a great local hub for businesses and general fun here in Oxford. If you're never sure what to do with the family, check out the Legacy 925 Center right here in Oxford. For your holiday celebrations, consider joining the New Year's Eve fun at the Legacy 925 Center's Gatsby Gala. That event starts at 8 p.m. the 31st and is open to all ages, so could be great fun for the whole family this break. Also, a portion of ticket sales will go towards the needs of the House of Providence as part of Legacy 925's Party with a Purpose initiative, a fantastic initiative. Number 3, where else to go? The park. Which park? Any park. Surprisingly, we are still light on snow here in Oxford, meaning that it takes less and less bundling up than usual and gives even more reason for you and the family to take a trip to the park. If you still have a live tree up in your home, consider taking it to Seymour Lake Township Park, where they are being collected now through February to be chipped and turned into mulch for our parks. It is a great way to give back to the parks and make recycling a part of your family. That's my list, but I want to hear yours. Tell me your favorite places to visit this winter here in Oxford. You can reach out to me directly at river.tuck@gmail.com or start the conversation on our Oxford Community Television Facebook page. Before we wrap it up today, there is one last story out of the Oxford School District. 5 new buses have been approved for the district as of a December 10th Board of Education meeting. The additional buses will go to replacing older model buses to increase integrity and safety for the children. This comes after the district acquired 14 new buses last year to bring their fleet up to date. All of this is part of an effort to replace buses that have been in service for as much as 18 years. That is going to wrap it up here for our holiday school news here at OCTV. Look forward to more school news and schooling around content when school resumes January 6th. Until then, Oxford, I have been River Tuck for your school news here on OCTV. Until next time, Oxford.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, a drug that stops the body's overactive immune system could be key to treating lupus. This would be only the second new drug for the autoimmune condition in 60 years. Around 5 million people around the world are affected by lupus, a condition that causes the body's immune system to attack healthy organs and results in skin rashes, joint and muscle pain, fatigue, and early death. There is no cure, and doctors often rely on therapies from the 1950s to treat symptoms, says Eric Moran of Monash University in Australia. One in 10 people diagnosed with the disease, typically young women, will die within a decade after diagnosis. A growing body of evidence suggests that lupus is linked to producing too many molecules called type 1 interferons, which are involved in regulating the body's immune system. This prompted Morand and his colleagues to study the effects of afrilumab, a drug that binds to type 1 interferon receptors and stops the molecule from overstimulating the immune system. They randomly assigned 362 people with moderate to severe symptoms of lupus to receive a 300 milligram injection of the drug or a placebo every 4 weeks for almost a year. The benchmark for success was of all the participants' organs that displayed signs of the disease at the beginning of the study improved, and there were no flare-ups over the year. They found that 40%, or 48% that is, of participants taking the drug achieved this compared with 32% taking the placebo. In addition, 52% of those who were taking steroids for the condition were able to reduce the dose compared with 30% of the control group. This is important because the steroids commonly have side effects such as weight gain, osteoporosis, skin fragility, and infections. In lupus patients, there is an additional complication, says Morand. With long-term use, the harmful effects of lupus itself appear to be amplified by exposure to steroids, so it's a real double-edged sword. Sean O'Neill at the University of Sydney in Australia says the findings are a great achievement for a disease that desperately needs some progress. However, there are still negative side effects of the afrilumab to overcome. The drug was associated with an increase in upper respiratory tract infections such as the common cold and herpes zoster, also known as shingles. One person taking the drug died of pneumonia. Interferon's role in the immune system is chiefly to defend against viruses, so these effects are expected from a drug that blocks the protein from working, says Morand. They hope the vaccinating people against herpes zoster, for example, will reduce these risks. In our next story, an experimental tuberculosis vaccine is partially effective at preventing a dormant infection from progressing to an active disease. If the results hold up in larger trials, the treatment could save millions of lives. TB is one of the top 10 causes of death worldwide, claiming 1.5 million lives in 2018. The BCG vaccine is used to prevent the disease in children, but there is no effective vaccine for adults. About a quarter of the world's population has latent TB, which means they are infected with the bacteria, but it's just lying dormant. They don't experience symptoms and can't transmit the disease. About 5 to 10% of people with latent infection go on to develop active disease. The new vaccine, known as M72/AS01E, has been developed by pharmaceutical firms GlaxoSmithKline and Eris. The trial involved in 3,575 adults in Kenya, South Africa, and Zambia with latent tuberculosis infection, half of whom were given 2 doses of the vaccine and the other half of whom had a placebo. After 3 years, there were half as many cases of active disease in the vaccine group as the placebo group. An efficacy rate of 50% is low compared with most established vaccines, but given the prevalence of TB and shortage of other preventative treatments, such a vaccine could have a big effect on the number of cases. Larger trials will be needed to better assess the efficacy of the drug before it can be licensed for use, but these results are seen as very promising. This is the first vaccine that has ever shown protection in previously infected individuals, so it offers the potential for protection of vast numbers of people in endemic countries, says Barry Bloom at Harvard Youth School of Public Health, who wasn't involved in the study. He says only 50% effective with 10 million new cases and 1.4 million deaths annually, the number of lives would be saved would be great. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
What's going on, Wildcat fans? Cody right back here with this week's sports report. We don't have a whole lot to go over this week since a lot of the sports had light schedules due to the Christmas break. But anyhow, let's just dive in and take a look. Just before the break, the boys basketball team took a hard loss to Lake Orion here at home. The final score of the night was 62-54. The boys had just had a hard time hitting their shots, and Lake Orion's offense just kept on coming very strong. The boys' record now sits at 2-1. Still a lot of season left. On the flip side, the girls team took a win over North Farmington here at home in overtime. Final score of that game was 41-39. The girls played very hard, and Farmington did as well. We just had the lead for the majority of the game. Anyhow, it came very close, as you can see towards the end, but a win is a win, and this one was very sweet. And lastly, the boys and girls bowling teams competed in the North Farmington Early Bird Tournament. The boys took 3rd place out of 21 schools, and the girls took 7th out of 16 schools. Like I've said before, we have a very, very good, strong bowling program here at Oxford. Our past season's achievements can tell you that much, so we look forward to what this season has to bring us. Anyhow, that's all for this week's report. For any more info on these events and more, go to oxfordathletics.org. There's plenty of game breakdowns, stats, and more stories all right there for you to check out. Once again, that is oxfordathletics.org. While you're at it, might as well check us out over at occtv.org. All of our coverage of these events and more can be found on our YouTube page, which you can access through our website. Once again, that is occtv.org. And that's all for this week's report. I want to thank you all for watching and remind you to tune in next time. But until then, I'm Cody Wright. Go Wildcats.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, one goal of the redesigned Chevrolet Suburban and Tahoe coming next year is to lock down General Motors' fuel economy leadership in the full-size SUV segment. For the first time since the 1990s, the Suburban and Tahoe will be available with a thrifty diesel engine, a 3-liter turbocharged inline-6. That engine launched this year as an option on the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 along with a 10-speed automatic transmission. It makes the big Chevy pickup the most fuel efficient in its class with an EPA rating of 23 miles per gallon city, 33 miles per gallon on the highway, and 27 combined. That same powertrain is now headed for the new Suburban and Tahoe and will be the only diesel offered in the segment. Chevrolet executives say the turbo diesel will give the SUVs some of the highest fuel economy ratings in the segment. To get there, the GM vehicles will have to beat the 17 mile per gallon city, 24 highway, and 20 mile per gallon combined rating of the current leader, the Ford Expedition. Most other competitors in the segment, such as the Toyota Sequoia, have fuel economy ratings in the mid to high teens. On the current Suburban, the most fuel efficient version is EPA rated at 14 miles per gallon city, 23 on a highway, and 17 combined. To hit GM's target, the redesigned vehicles likely will have to reach 25 to 30 miles per gallon on the highway. The new Suburban and Tahoe arrive at dealers next summer. They've grown in size and weight over the outcoming models, making it tougher to hit the coveted 30 mile per gallon on the highway. The current Suburban checks in at between 56 and 5,800 pounds, considerably heavier than the Silverado, which weighs 4,500 to 5,400 pounds. GM released some specs on the coming Suburban and Tahoe, but not curb weight or fuel tank size. The current Suburban has a 31-gallon fuel tank. If the 2021 model has the same size tank and gets 25 miles per gallon highway, it will have a real long-distance cruiser able to go nearly 800 miles between fill-ups. The 3-liter engine is rated at 277 horsepower and 460 pounds-feet of torque. And on the recall front, Ford Motor Company is recalling over 600,000 Ford Fusion, Mercury Milan, and Lincoln MKZ sedans from the 2006 to 2010 model years in the U.S. for a potential defect that could cause extended brake pedal travel, increasing the risk of a crash. The company is aware of 15 accidents and 2 injuries that may be related to the problem, it said in a press release December 20th. The automaker said a valve that normally is closed inside the hydraulic control unit may stick open in some affected vehicles and cause the brake pedal problem. Dealers will inspect the hydraulic control unit for signs of a stuck, slow-responding valves and replace the unit if necessary. Ford is recalling 33 2020 Ford F-150 pickups in the U.S. and 51 in Canada over corrosion on spare tires. In affected vehicles, the spare tire bead area may have been damaged during mounting onto the wheel assembly, damaging the bead wire and causing corrosion over time. Ford said it is not aware of any reports of accidents or injuries related to the spare tire problem. And in a next article, NHTSA said December 17th it is upgrading an investigation into 1.7 million General Motors vehicles for windshield wiper failures. The Auto Safety Agency opened the probe in November of 2018 to see if GM needed to expand a 2016 recall of 2013 Chevrolet Equinox and GMC Terrain crossovers to cover additional vehicles. The engineering analysis probe covers 2010 to 2012 and 2014 to 2016 Equinox and Terrain vehicles. NHTSA said it could demand a recall after it completes the probe. NHTSA said it has reviewed 1,900 complaints and reports related to the issue in the 1.7 million vehicles. NHTSA said it has seen elevated failure rates in the 1.7 vehicles, even though GM said the recalled vehicles have double the warranty rate and 5 times the complaint rate. GM said it fully is cooperating to support their investigation. We do not believe these windshield washer systems are defective, they said. The windshield wiper failures that prompted the 2016 recall were attributed to water and debris intrusion into the windshield wiper assembly ball joints, leading to excessive wear and eventual detachment of the ball joint. GM said it was installing an improved windshield wiper motor and transmission assembly and relocating a drain hole at the base of the windshield. And that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life sideways.
We here at OCTV cover the local events and government meetings of Oxford, Addison, and Leonard. We also produce and edit programs for you viewers out there. With the leadership of our station manager, Bill Service, we have been a very successful team, winning awards from the state of Michigan for Best Electronic Media, giving attention to our local veterans. We also won awards for excellence in directing and educational programs. With the help of our great new equipment and our technical directors, we write, produce, and broadcast our local news for you. Without our production manager, Terry Stiles, our channel and station wouldn't be the well-oiled machine it is today. She coordinates the editing assignments and shoot schedule with our editors and camera people. OCTV and its communities make a great team.
If you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, it's important to act fast. Helping to save a life is easier than you might think. Just start hands-only CPR. The first step is to send someone to call 911 or call 911 yourself. Then get directly over the victim. Put the heel of one hand in the center of the chest. Then put your other hand on top of the first. Then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. It's important to push at a rate of at least 100 beats per minute, which is about the same tempo as the song Stayin' Alive. Let's hope you never have to use hands-only CPR, but if you see a teen or adult suddenly collapse, don't be afraid to try it. Remember, call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Your actions can help save a life. To learn more, call 877-AHA-4CPR or visit heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Catch us anytime on YouTube. Go to Oxford Community Television YouTube.